I'm Max Gillies, and these people are your taxes at work. In tonight's show, we'll be asking why Americans bother to vote. We'll be finding out why the rest of that baboon was transplanted onto John McEnroe. And we'll be reminding you forcibly about why today, November the 12th, is so important. It is, of course, the day after November the 11th, on which we remember Ned Kelly, Gough Whitlam, tens of thousands of Anzacs and other victims of Australian foreign policy. But first, some reassurance from the designer of that policy.
This is not the beginning of the end. This is the end of the beginning of the end.
And from an old cowboy to another sacred animal who would prefer to remain anonymous.
The president's really quite a young man. I taught Ronald Reagan everything I knew. For example, when you want your eyes to go moist during the national anthem, try pulling a hair out of your nostril. And he presented me with these teeth.
And more of that sort of thing later in the show, but first, the news.
Good evening. The nation teeters tonight on the brink of chaos. The Australian Liberal Party was buried at sea in a quiet ceremony last night, attended by 2 war criminals and 18 Simons in a Range Rover. The Australian public was unable to be present, but were represented by the sound of a party from some distance away. A Royal Commission of Inquiry has been established, headed by Mr. Justice, insert your name here, to investigate last week's incident in which members of ASIO's crack anti-terrorist squad arrested the National Art Gallery and questioned it by thrashing the balls of its feet with a coal chisel. Also interrogated were 400 staff members, a brace of Japanese art lovers, and a rather lovely little watercolour by Sir Arthur Streeton. A spokesgiven for ASIO has explained that the gallery had been mistaken for another building by Allen, who had apparently dropped the torch overboard during the commando-style approach. The Prime Minister's response to all this was extremely swift, beautifully dressed, and every sentence contained a verb.
No, we won't be abolishing ASIO. They've made mistakes, I know, but we've admitted them and paid for the repairs, where repairs were a viable proposition. And we will continue to admit them and pay for them, so long as they're vital and valuable work both here and in New Guinea. In the interest of all Australians, this work continues to be ongoing and vital.
Poll figures released today put the Prime Minister's popularity rating at dangerous to extreme. 74% of the Australian public are happy with him as Prime Minister, and it's a very long gap back to 49% for PAL dog food, 36% for those woolen rugs you slide under your bottom sheet, and 17% for Terry Alderman. Mr. Peacock was well away at 2.5%, with swamp vermin and the last bastion hiding behind one another and lying about their age. Despite this, the Liberal leader still sees the campaign as being issues-based.
The difference between the Prime Minister and myself is that I take a pride in my appearance, however brief that may be.
Don Chip, determined to keep doing whatever it is he thinks he's been doing, sees the campaign as being hawk-based.
Now, the Prime Minister's a hell of a guy. And I'm a hell of a guy. And that's what a Democrat is. Everybody, regardless of sex or race or cholesterol reading, can be a hell of a guy. And it makes me damn proud. Here, just to think of it. What the hell is the question?
Disaster this week for Queensland's Premier, Sir Cro-Magnon Man. On the occasion of His Enormity's recent birthday, he was classified by the National Trust and pushed over during the night. Mr. Hinz's driver has offered a formal apology. He said it was getting dark and he was having a little bit of trouble locating the hangar. Medical authorities spoke out today against circumcision. They say that pushing Richard Carlton's collar down towards his waist will cause more problems than it solves. Mr. Andrew Peacock today disappeared up his own up. Can't be right. It is right. Alarmed at the possibility of saying something sensible, the partially Reverend Roland Colin, owner-trainer of the Circus of God, today revealed further insights on the human condition.
There are no homosexuals in heaven, just long white smocks and cherubim and seraphim, naked and joyous with their plump little bottoms and their pert little wayward mouths. Heavenly choir boys.
Independent research authorities this afternoon released further findings on the differences between the policies of the major parties in the forthcoming election. The Liberal Party defence policy is yes, sir, OK, sir, by all means, that sounds fine, we'll look after the publicity this end. Whereas, of course, the Labor Party's position is the left are going to really hate this, but yes, sir, OK, sir, that sounds fine, and Bob will look after the publicity this end. This, of course, is not counting the National Party's defence plan, which is to attack New Zealand. In sport today, in a display of power tennis this evening in Tokyo, John McEnroe defeated a Coca-Cola vending machine 6-love, 6-love. A table of spare rackets and an ice bucket 6-1, 6-2, and was unaccountably defeated in the final after he backed into an air conditioner and double-folded for the rest of the night. Now, the answers to last week's quiz for all you people who entered were: question 1, the specific gravity of argon, the husk on a caraway seed, and John Button. Question 2, John Howard. All the others are economists. And question 3, the one about the 3 Irishmen and the dog, the one about the female hurdler, and the Liberal Party's advertising.
Our first contestant is Mr. Simon Pewter, and your special subject is, I believe, the political career of Andrew Peacock.
No one could be more acutely aware of that than I am.
When did Andrew Peacock first enter Parliament as the member for Kooyong?
Well, that's not the point at issue here.
Correct. What was Andrew Peacock's attitude to the Kampuchean question in 1979?
Look, I don't think it serves anyone's interest to go raking over
Correct.
what it...
Complete the following quotation. A week is a long time in...
The sauna.
Correct. What is the future for the Australian car industry?
I hope so. I really do.
Correct. This has been a paid political broadcast on behalf of the ALP's advertising agency, written and spoken by A. Cleverdick, authorised by another Cleverdick, Parliament House, Canberra.
And now, interstate. Our Probe Watch overview team has been investigating the top stories from the outlying colonies. Isn't that right?
That's absolutely correct, and our man in the South Australian Parliament has reported on a rather cheeky little controversy.
Hi. Here in Parliament, there's a pretty vigorous debate going on between my palate and this rather pleasant Riesling. Now, today's debate concerns compulsory colour coordination tests for tourists. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. Could you catch the speaker's eye, please? I've got to buy drinks out on the patio, and I don't expect that to be anything less than agreeable. So I'll see you out in the foyer at 7 for cocktails, and after that we'll move on to the musical adaptation of Hiroshima Mon Amour, sponsored by Western Man. Love to all. Peter here, Adelaide. Chive. Excuse me, Mr. Speaker. Does the Minister admit that he has excluded all pastel tonings from the autumn range?
Yes. Oh,
Shame!
rubbish!
Shame! Retain!
The Masons. A pack of incestuous manipulators, or just a gang of kids whose lives revolve around a goat. We asked our man in Melbourne.
There's a lot of vulgar nonsense talked about the Masons. But the two fellows whose fathers were rather important in the city want to keep in touch, well, why not? What an impertinent question. Actually, we shake hands, gentlemen do. And in these days, there's nothing out of the ordinary about wearing an apron. Perfectly acceptable, as is rolling up the trouser leg. And rapid promotions, a word or two in the right ear, and lenient prison sentences are the rights of any citizen. That should be a perfectly adequate explanation. If you value your job, go away.
The National Party unleashed its policy on defence this week, and the price of liberty seems about twice as much as we've got on us at the moment.
Hey, kids, how would you like to dominate the Southern Hemisphere by sheer force of arms? And perhaps go to war with New Zealand?
And what about owning your very own tactical nuclear submarine? Well, you can, you know. Just get your mum and dad to vote for the coalition defence policy. It's obligation-free. Well, not quite. Ask your dad what conscription means.
Your special subject is the life and times of John Howard. Here are your questions, starting now. John Howard has no economics degree. What did he qualify in?
Let me answer that in two parts.
Correct. What was the size of the internal deficit before the 1983 election?
9 billion, but deficit's the wrong word.
Correct.
A shortfall, really. It was really just a Treasury estimate.
Can you be more specific?
No.
Correct. Name one possible fault with monetarism.
Now, look, we agreed before I came on here that we
Correct.
would...
This has been a paid political broadcast on behalf of Andrew Peacock, written and spoken by people who like Andrew Peacock, authorised by M. St George, Parliament House, Canberra.
Most of the heathens seem to have all of the money and most of the guns. And we here at the Gillies report feel that it's about time that all Christians got their station wagons into a circle.
Hello and welcome to Christwatch. I'm Teresa O'Reilly from the practising laying nuns of the Sacred Bleeding Nose of Jesus.
And I'm the Reverend E. Roger Nees, Dean of St. Allen's.
It's that red brick building down near the swamp.
You know, at our non-sectarian crisis centre, every day I get hundreds of letters.
Oh, we get even more at the convent.
From troubled souls.
Ours are tormented.
Ours are tormented too.
Ours are too tormented to even write.
Asking.
We get a lot of calls.
Asking questions such as, Rog, we have Catholics next door. Is it okay to lay baits for their children?
Or when Protestants go to hell, can Catholics watch?
To which the answer is by and large, no.
No, I agree. Yes.
Well, there are, of course, some differences between our two churches.
Yes, ours is infallible.
We do not drink blood.
We do all the miracles.
Turning Christ into crisp bread.
Yes, it does stick to the roof a bit. Next week we'll be discussing original sin and how to get it off the pillow. Well, Teresa O'Reilly, you've been watching Christwatch, and Christ, he's been watching too.
The political philosophy of Bob Hawke, starting now. What was the view of the ACTU?
Now, hang on, Hugh. I know you, you know me. So let's not discuss ACTU policy of the past. That doesn't interest the Australian people, so let's not pretend, Hugh. Let's not be silly.
Is that your answer?
Mate, that's not just my answer. If you people were to get off your freckle, go out on the bloody boulevards a bit, you'd realise that that is the answer of the average working Australian family.
Correct.
Let me just say this, Hugh. I think you do yourself a great disservice by following this line of questioning. I mean, you're an intelligent fellow.
Correct.
I mean, you can get your name in the paper trying to annoy me, but I think it's for the people out there to decide.
Correct. This has been a paid political broadcast on behalf of personal aggrandisement, written and spoken by R.J. Hawke, authorised by R.J. Hawke, Parliament House, Canberra, based on an idea by R.J. Hawke, from a concept by R.J. Hawke, copyright R.J. Hawke, nuclear weapons made possible by R.J. Hawke.
India teeters on the edge of being left out of the newspapers again. We asked a statesperson for a solution.
We have been thinking, poor little India. How happy we all were in earlier times, when there were more of us over there than them over here. When Indian cotton was a farthing a ton, and you could go down the old Kent Road, have a slap-up feed, pick up a dozen child labourers, and still have change of a 5-bob note. What India needs is another strong, decisive woman on the throne. Empress of all India. How well it sounds. I shall speak to the Navy about it. And then, of course, we can decently go to war in Afghanistan again.
Your subject is the policies of the Australian Democrats. Ted, can we cut and go again, please? I can't find any questions on the policies of the Australian... Yes, they've got some, Ted. They must have some, Ted. People vote for them. I don't know, kindness to rivers or something. Can you think of any?
Pass.
Correct. This has been a paid political broadcast on behalf of the Hydroelectric Commission of Tasmania, written and spoken by telephone, authorised by Bulldozer.
Attention! What follows is an official interruption. We would remind all viewers to come to attention, place your hand on your heart, and lower your brain to half-mast. Ladies and gentlemen, live from Washington, the President of the United States of America.
My fellow Americans, in the words of the late great President Rushmore, yet nothing seen ain't ya. No, nothing you ain't. Well, 74 years ago, when I was 4, and my forefather was 7. 4 and 7 is 11. 10, 9, 8, 7.
It's morning, dear.
Oh, yes.
Morning.
America is in mourning again. No, it ain't. No, there's still a few Kennedys we haven't gotten around to yet. It's morning in America again. I slept very well last night, Mommy.
Did you, Daddy?
I did, and I had a dream. I had a dream! I dreamed I was walking tall down Main Street, without any pants on.
Any questions for the President?
Yeah. How long has Nicaragua got?
Well, you know, when I heard that our planes had been fired on right over the enemy capital, El Scandinavia, well, you know, that's darn inhospitable. So I
had to act.
I had to act. That's what I do best.
Sir, aren't they entitled to defend themselves?
No!
No, well, we're trying to defend them for them. Against them.
Mr. President, aren't our allies frightened by your foreign policy?
Well, I know this broadcast is going to Australia, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Australia for its continued support. I love Austria. You know, I've seen all of your wonderful films. The Man from Sleepy Hollow. And I have great respect for your president, Mr. Yes. You have a great country there. What do you want for it?
Sir, a question for Mrs. Reagan.
Oh, no, that's Mrs. Reagan.
What do you two do at the ranch all year?
Well, he chops wood. Chop, 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 chop. Sometimes with an axe. He shoots trees and skins bears. Well, he gets plenty of rest.
Is it true that the President nods off in cabinet?
Well, as you'd appreciate, I'm not in a position to confirm or deny that. Sometimes, you know, I just close my eyes and run through my lines.
Is it true that you're just a front man with a good line in president impersonations?
Well, Pete, I can remember when the Charlie McCarthy program first started up on the radio. It'll never work, he said. Who's going to believe a ventriloquist on the radio? And I guess TV's kind of the opposite. As long as you see my lips move, you don't mind much who's talking. Try this, for instance. America is standing tall. We're on the march again. 4 more years, just like they used to be. In black and white, Marines landing on every beach from Guadalcanal to Grenada. The night sky black with our laser satellites. The blacks picking cotton, Indians toppling out of their saddles, and Gene Wyman on every porch, as our Marine jets screaming from the sky. And why 4 more years? Why not 9? Why not 8? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We seem to have lost America. Bit of a blow for Channel 10, but there we are. In keeping with the tradition of hugely overproduced and increasingly baroque big-budget versions of the dreadful, tawdry and pitifully shameful events of our recent history, we proudly present the following attempt to gloss over the facts. Live from the Victorian Arts Centre, and a bigger waste of money than the roof, we present Il Dismalissimo, Il Dismale, Al Pacino. We present the following musical tribute to November the 11th.
God is our nation's leader.
Power and fame are mine.
We've had 3 years of labour,
Wherein because we said it's time.
and life couldn't be more sublime.
The odds have had increased funding. How do you like loopholes?
Who'll pay for that, we're wondering,
Rex said he'd ask Kemlani.
and we are in it up to our holes.
Good God.
It's time, all right. Time Gough, pissed off. Something must be done. I know. I'll go see the GG. Than Lee Harvey Oswald. Sounds good. First, Whitlam must be, knackered.
But how do I do it?
Up in the Senate, I will begin it. There midst the slumbers, I'll get the numbers.
Can you block supply?
Would I tell a lie?
North Korea is through?
Well, out any revenue.
Coup d'etat, coup d'etat. Labour is in the poo.
Yes, they are.
Completely stuffed by you.
What have we here down in Australia? Kerr's giving Whitlam the sack. He will use his powers, most of which are ours, to bring our dear Liberals back.
I'm pulling my vice-regal weight.
He ought to be opening a fete.
Look, he's read his constitution and called for dissolution.
I dare say it is our responsibility. No, wait, I think Australia's a democracy. We should not like to interfere. Our role was never very clear. Most amusing, ha ha ha, so confusing, ha ha ha, very funny, ha ha ha. What's Kimlami? Ha ha ha.
Order, by order of the Governor-General, this Parliament has ceased to be. It is no more, it has gone to meet its maker, it is an ex-Parliament, it is completely bugled, the taxidermist is on his way.
Shame, 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 shame.
Sit down.
Shame, sit down, get out,
Shut up.
get out, resign. Shame, 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 shame.
Shut up. Sit, I give up.
You stupid bastard, you loathsome object, my voice to say out for shame.
Parliament is disbanded. Kerr has been underhand. cut off in my prime today by the press and the CIA. Just like A&A. This is our history's blackest page. It's the indictment of the age. Oh, never again. No, no, never again. Maintain your rage. Maintain your rage. Maintain your
These are matters for judgment.
Now is our nation's leader.
To the power and fame, amen.
Here's to a reign of terror and economic lullaby.
Inflation is my long-term design.
Big mouth.
Your pal.
Big mouth.
Your pal.
Big mouth is now our pal. Big mouth is now our pal. We might as well throw in the towel.
We have to leave the opera there. There are another 40 acts or so to go. And, of course, it's still running today. And it's good night from all of us here at Gillies. But before we go, the supplementary answer to last week's quiz was Bob Hawke on uranium. All the others make some kind of sense. And the winner is Mr. Kerry Packer. The other two were marsupials. Good night.